32nd century discovery.
Hello and good evening for Thursday, May 16th, 2024. We have finished watching the 8th episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 5 titled Labyrinths. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast for our live stream review here on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. I'm Dave Mader, and we got a great panel here to break this all down tonight. Starting off first, we got Ashley Millard with us. How you doing tonight, Ashley?
I'm good.
Well, good to have you with us. Of course, we have Chris Worldmind Murphy.
Self-reflecting. It was a deep labyrinth of the mind.
Yes. Well, very, very good, sir. And coming in next is Ritos himself. It's Adam Woodward.
Let's fly, Dave.
Let's fly. Spoilers ahoy, of course, as we will be breaking down this episode. So if you haven't watched this episode that came out today, then you can stay if you'd like, but you might want to watch it first, and then we're gonna break that all down. So with that said, let's kind of go around the room and figure out how we're feeling about this episode. Let's start with Ashley. Ashley, did you like tonight's episode?
I enjoyed it. I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as some of the other ones in this season, but I did like it.
Okay, and let's go to Adam next. Adam, how did you feel about this episode?
Literally finished it 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago, and it started very quick for me. It sort of slowed down in the middle, but came back. I really enjoyed the last 15 minutes.
Yes, it was a bit of a labyrinth, for them to go through, apropos the name. And last to Worldmind himself.
This is my favorite episode of the season.
Favorite episode? Okay,
yeah.
Wow. And what in particular? Did you like so much?
Honestly, it was the Burnham sort of peak self-realization for her whole character arc. It really, I feel, added to all of the shenanigans that we've gone through in the previous seasons. It was a big moment for me, and just her self-realization as the character and the captain that she needs to be, and that was a big win for me in her story arc. On top of that, there was just the absolute fearful power of the Breen, and them showcasing why they should be everyone should be terrified of them. It just upped the ante in that factor. And yeah, I was a big fan of everything that was happening in this episode from beginning to end.
Okay,
I
great.
never would have thought that Michael Burnham is not self-aware or self-reflective.
Yeah.
My because she seems pretty in touch with herself, right from season 1.
But yet she still makes a lot of mistakes.
She's all they highlight it in this episode. She's always there in the moment. Her main focus is always the mission at hand, and it tends to never really go beyond that because, it's never been expanded upon until this episode, where it's like, yeah, I've just been fearful of not living up to the expectations I've set for myself, and she's always chasing after the mission, and that's what drives her in the majority of all these seasons, and she always does it so blindly. This episode kind of added the humanity behind those reasons.
Yeah, like trying to, saying how she tries to prove herself, prove that she deserves whatever, her rank, her command, her, I think a few other things she mentions in her realization. And so, I think there was some interesting character stuff here. Of course, more with the villains and the Breen. A lot of the Breen in this episode again. We're seeing things from Maul's perspective largely, as she's kind of hanging out with them. And the Primarch, not such a nice guy, but then she kills the Primarch by the end of the episode and kind of takes control of this Breen faction.
Sowing the seeds of mutiny and then using her royal status basically to take over an entire fleet and a massive ship at that. Like, that's awesome. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good move on her part, I guess, because they seemed like they were kind of keen for a mutiny in this group, with this Primarch, being a little bit of a scumbag. It seemed like.
So you guys haven't really liked her, through this season, and
Right.
I think that sort of changed tonight. She had a little more depth tonight. That character.
Yeah, for me it was like, well, I have not been a fan of her character so far, and I would say that this episode probably moved it in the more positive direction. I don't know if I'm completely sold on her yet, but I'm feeling less upset with her. So overall, I thought she worked better in this particular episode. Maybe because Locke's not there and she's kind of acting solo, and maybe I find her more interesting as a solo character than as like just a part of a pair. But of course, that's driving everything. She's looking to resurrect Locke so he can become the new Breen Emperor or whatever. And the progenitors tech, they got all the clues together. And what else, guys? Like, they went to the Badlands. So let's break it all down. Let's talk about the episode through in visuals. As I know, for some of us, myself included, I just finished watching this a few minutes ago too, Adam. So it's still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
So we start off here in the Breen ship. And we have a Breen funeral going on as they're all kind of pounding their whatever these gun things are they have, these light rods onto the ground in perfect sync. It was pretty cool, although it did look slightly computer generated to me, just because they were so in sync, but hey, I can forgive it. It looks like it does have a grandness to it, a huge expanse, a whole environment, and the design overall is very neat. We get to actually see this Breen flag here draped over Locke's corpse, showing that Breen symbol, which I think has appeared in other Star Trek canon before, but it's kind of cool to see it in that manner. Maul is present for all this as she's grieving over Locke. And she says to him, whispers like, "I will fix this." Then there's also this other Breen character who I don't think we've met before this episode. I don't want to say they all look alike, but it's with the helmets. There is some similarity.
Uniform. It's a uniform. They do look
Yeah.
alike.
I'm fairly certain he was the one in the previous episode when they had the meeting with the Federation, and he was speaking on the Patriarch's behalf or whatever the leader is. I forget his name.
Oh, he was like the interpreter.
Yeah, he was the interpreter dude. Like, he was the second in command sort of deal. And he was like, "Yes, I'll speak on my leader's behalf." And then, Tyrion was like, "Oh, I heard what he said." And
He
then,
also wears the royal belt buckle like Locke does. So maybe he's like Locke's brother or something.
Yeah, but then why would they care about bringing Locke back? Like, he would be next in line. Right?
Theoretically, yeah, he would be the next in line, assuming their succession works the way ours does in most noble lines. Or maybe he's a cousin. I don't know, but it seemed I get the impression through the episode that he is he's a good Breen, or better than most Breen, and he seems to have
gentle head movements.
Yeah, gentle head movements, not and his tone, and he seems sympathetic to what Maul's trying to accomplish by bringing Locke back. So we'll see where that plays out. So more speculation, but we get a lot of subtitles in the episode as we get a lot of that Breen language in this episode. Him talking about his nephew, your scion, him being home. Though he defied us in life, we honor him in death. Lieutenant Erisar. So I guess that's the character that we were just talking about.
I believe so. Yeah.
Time. He tells Lieutenant Erisar, get her away from the body. And then into Courtesy, who joined herself with him, I will now speak in her tongue. So this gives us a reason.
Okay. I like this little moment here because I don't know if it was if it was the same for you guys, but for me, when he's speaking in his native tongue of dial-up speak, it sounds softer, almost more gentle, and just in like just relaxed But the moment he starts speaking in our tongue, he's just like, "Rah, rah, rah." It's just like,
Oh
he
yeah,
can't
well,
help it.
I think that's deliberate. I think almost on the in the performance, because I think he's angry that he's speaking in this other language, and you know, it's. I think that's
How dare I speak in this tongue? Ah!
this sucks. I'd rather talk in dial-up. You know, Maul is as defiant as ever. You know, every step of the way with this guy who's clearly willing to kill her, and anybody else for that matter, to get what he wants. So she does really you know, push that limit here. And we see that tension building. She's kind of like, you know, sowing that that dissent with the troops and him and the group pretty much from the beginning of the episode, and challenging it. But she kind of tells them, she tells him, the Primarch, about, hey, Discovery has all these clues and whatever. I don't know exactly if that's this point in the episode, but then Discovery shows up to this beacon here. So we get to see what the Badlands looks like now. Like, this is kind of a redo of it, or at least what it looks like in the 31st century or 32nd century.
When was the last time we were in the Badlands?
Probably
Nine?
Deep Space Nine. Actually, we watched it not long ago, where Ezri has to go to the Badlands to get Worf. So yeah, I think that's probably the last time we went there. This is different looking, more angry, I would say. You
It's
know,
the angrier corner of the Badlands.
it's the angriest corner. The biggest plasma storm in the quadrant, they refer to it as. And so then we get to meet this archivist over the communication. Trying to remember her name. Archivist Hyrel, from this archive library thing, which is where we spend pretty much the entire episode.
She's great. I really enjoyed this character.
Me too. Like, I
She's
thought she
very
was
helpful.
very helpful, very chipper.
She's a complete librarian. Like, she felt like that character.
Yes.
She is in a Frosian, and if you remember Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
Okay.
The president of the Federation, who was played by Kurtwood Smith.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. All right. I was going to reference that short treks where that princess was on board with Tilly and they had the food fight. Remember that? But
yes.
Not that race. Okay.
Not that. No.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one. Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah. But she's so yeah, like that president of the Federation from Star Trek VI. That's the same species. That kind of has and the big mustache.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So that's what her species. I think the first woman of Frosian we've ever met. But yeah, so she's very chipper, and she's like, hey, you need to come to the archive and you need to follow our rules, or any dismemberment or death resulting will not be our fault. She says with a very chipper attitude. And you know,
the landmines.
Right. Well, and Michael Burnham, she's all about the mission. Like, we need to get. I don't have time for the pleasantries here, archivist. I need to get to the mission. And she's like, okay, we can talk on the way. But yeah, overall, I really like the way she was written and like the way she performed it, as played by who played this role? Elena Juatko. Is she Canadian? Of course, yeah, from Vancouver. So we see that outside, once you get through the Badlands, there's almost like a pocket inside the Badlands. That's where this archive is situated, inside. And so that's sort of where we're here to explore for the episode. And that is our teaser for the episode titled Labyrinths, written by Lauren Wilkinson and Eric J. Robbins, directed by Emmanuel Osei Kufor. And I thought that this place was pretty cool. I thought this idea of sort of a galactic museum, it's sort of independent from the Federation or anything else, you know, it's kind of independently neutral, and getting to explore all that. But the archivist says, hey, we figured out you had a Qui-Gon on board. And Burnham says, yes, well, we have a Qui-Gon artifact. If you could help us identify it, that would be great.
So I was disappointed at that. I go, oh, not another Michael Burnham book episode.
Yeah, but this one was okay.
I just feel like we have so many great characters on this ship.
Yeah.
And we don't get to see enough of them. That's all.
there is a lot put into this relationship, I will say. Yeah, I agree with you. But that seems to be the show we're watching.
I don't even
there was
mind
even
them
a
going.
line-
Sorry, I'm going to change this. I don't even mind them going down together to the archives, but it's the labyrinth part. Like, of course, it's him.
Yeah.
Well, she even said at one point, she's like, I should have sent Tilly. And I was like, see, that kind of like, that highlights the fact that she's always on every mission. It would have been nice if Tilly was down here. It would have been an interesting sort of play, but I mean, they had to do it this way, I guess.
Well, Ashley, maybe you could help speak to the conflict that Book and Burnham are still trying to resolve between them. You know, coming out of last season and coming off the last episode, even where, you know, Book is still kind of upset that you know, they just handed Maul over to the Breen in that situation, and that, you know, it kind of didn't sit well with him, and, you know, and she's like, well, I supported the decision, it wasn't an easy one, etc.
I mean, at this point, I feel like we're on episode 8. I defended them going back and forth in the beginning, but now I just feel like they're just drawing this out. It's getting a little long-winded.
Okay. Well,
like it's obvious that they're kind of not trusting each other, so they need to just figure it out or move on.
Yeah. Well, I get the feeling that they don't approve of each other's ethics in some ways. You know,
again, that like, yes, I called it earlier in the season. I'm like, this is the type of storyline that we don't need because it's been done multiple times before already in previous seasons, and I kind of knew they would just play this out like this. That being said, again, in her like whole self-realization, she, you know, comes to the realization that she's feared that she's not a good enough partner or whatnot, and that was like weighing on her decisions and separation from Book. And again, it's all just kind of felt needless. So I personally am not a fan of this whole will they won't they after they've broken up and they've done, and like, it's just like they could have resolved this in the first 3 episodes and then saved this screen time for other people.
Well, it's going to take all 10, everybody. So buckle up. It would
It's the
appear
Michael Burnham show.
It is. It is the Michael Burnham show. Just like, you know, I think not since original series, where that show was definitely the Kirk show, has this one rivaled it so much. So then we get to actually go inside the archive, which feels like was at least in part a practical set. You know, like, but I can't quite tell where the computer generated starts and where the practical ends, which is a good thing. I thought this was a very neat looking. Oh, well, you got a keener eye than I do. So they take, so the Afrosian here, what's her name? The archivist, she takes Michael and Book through the room and to the reading room to look at the book that was left by that Betazoid scientist who left this particular clue. And so while Michael's left to study the book, which nobody's looked at since that scientist left it there, you know, 800 years earlier, the archivist Elena here, she takes Book to another room to look at the artifact. So as Michael's looking through this
artifact,
the Qui-Gon artifact, yeah. So once Michael's looking through the book, but guess what she finds? A bookmark. And it's like, looks like that same kind of Betazoid metal technology, you know, when you can telepathically talk to metal, as they've now established. And that kind of opens up this program, which activates and kind of takes Michael into that. But in between, we get the scene away with Book and the archivist, where she says, "Is your name really Book? Wow, a Book who came to see me." That's
this is the librarian part that I love so much, because I'm
yeah.
like, ooh, I'm so excited somebody named Book came to see me.
Someone named Book, yeah. You know, and so he opens up this Qui-Gon artifact and he looks at it for a really long time, and there's a real emotion to it.
This was a good scene, Dave. Like you could feel this. He played this very well.
Yeah, we find out it's a Qui-Gon a cutting from the world tree. We saw we saw in the earlier, I guess, from season 3.
Some roots from the world tree.
Yeah, so I guess maybe this can be used to plant a new world tree.
Yeah.
I'm getting that suspicion, and I think everything's gonna lead to probably Burnham giving Book the ultimate power, and then him using it to like use the root and possibly create
To
a
bring
new planet or
Qui-Gon back?
something.
Bring
Or to
Qui-Gon
create-
back, yeah.
Our
Yeah.
new version of well, actually, why even a new version? Because we know this progenitor tech can bring people back from the dead. So it could be.
I think bringing a whole planet back from the dead would be pretty extreme.
it would be.
I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's closer to like Titan AE.
This is Discovery, Chris. You know, like
Yeah.
they're gonna go
Could
with a
be,
bang.
you know, the more I
Yeah.
think about it, I think they just I think they're just retelling Titan AE. Now that I think about it,
Okay, I'll take your word for that.
oh, please tell me you've seen that movie. It's amazing.
Have I seen it? I don't know if I have.
I love that movie, Chris. I've seen that movie so many times.
Yes.
Well, maybe they're hoping that
telling you.
people haven't seen it, and then they don't connect what you're connecting. But
Maybe.
that's
I
what
mean,
we're here on the podcast.
We'll
Anyway,
figure
so
this out.
they go back to Michael Burnham after the whole scene with the world tree cutting thing, and they find her on the ground unconscious. While it seemed like she's being revived, then she does wake up, and we go, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess she's okay." But she's all alone, and she's in sort of this dreamscape simulation.
She has to count to 4.
Right, she's down the rabbit hole, if you will. And
Okay,
then
okay. Go back one shot here. The carpet and the like bookshelves around it, that's all real. Basically the pillars and everything outside those pillars, that's all digital.
okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they only had this little like hexagonal room, basically, and then sort of whatever. But when they would have had to do this wide shot from above. Anyway, but
Mhm.
cool. So then we meet this program that takes the form of Book, but with a different kind of an outfit, almost a Romulan-esque outfit. If you
I
ask
thought it was
me.
just the
The
librarian's outfit.
librarian's outfit.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is. It's the same. It just I didn't put it together that it was the same outfit. And we figure out that this is not Book, but a simulation, a program designed by that Betazoid scientist who left this clue.
Yeah, I think it's a simulation of technically them, but because it's a mind program, your mind fills in the blanks with a self-conscious image of somebody that you know.
Right. And that's what's explained here. We see that they can't. Dr. Culber is showing up. He can't revive her. They can't risk transporting her away because it could cut off the connection and could kill her. So they have to kind of leave her here and wait for this to play out. Commander Rayner was here at the time. They need to
Give
try
to me
solve it.
everything you know about this scientist and any books they've checked out in the time they were here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Book tries to go into the dreamscape or whatever with her, but it won't let him. It's only allowing her to stay inside that. So Michael is on her own as she's kind of walking through the labyrinth with the Book avatar. Who actually I liked this, like this performance by David Ayala. I thought he was really fun in this kind of different role that he was playing in this particular episode.
He's fantastic in this show. Like
Yeah.
he was really. I was first introduced his character in Supergirl, where he played like an English superhero. I forget his name, but he was super good in that show, and I liked his like little performance. And then next time I saw him, he was on this show, and every minute he's on this show, I love it. He's been one of the driving forces for me to keep watching this show. I want to see him in many more things.
Yeah, he was good. And so this program he's taking Michael through, and I don't know. She starts filling in her own blanks about how to solve this particular problem. Well, I need to look back at history, and I need to understand what where we're coming from and where we're going, and everything else. So and David Ayala's character here, this program, I can answer yes or no questions, but depending on what it is, and I can tell you certain information, but not other things. I don't know. It was kind of cleverly written, and I like the way he delivered it all. And so what was going on here? What is this thing that the archivist gives to Book? It was
that was the record of the scientist and all of her
and what she had looked up. And then we see that everything she's ever she read a lot of books. The list was probably shorter that she hadn't read.
He was like, it'd be shorter to give me a list of things she didn't read.
Then the Breen are coming, which they're getting ready for. I think where he says to the archivist, well, you need to defend yourself. And she's like, we don't like to take sides. Sorry. We like to stay
very neutral.
We're very neutral. We find out that the Breen were one of the founding contributors to the archive, and that they normally they put a lot of their archives here, artifacts here. The archivist responding, and so they have this conversation where he's just kind of mean to her. He's like, give me what I want, and she's like, well, you are suspended until further notice.
Your request is denied. You're not allowed in.
Yeah, request denied.
As someone who has worked in customer service my entire working career, I appreciated that conversation so much that she was like, well, if you're going to be a dick to me, go fuck yourself. Because we don't get to do that. We don't get to give the energy back that they give to us, and she did, and it was awesome.
Right. She was quite good in that. And then they decide to go into the plasma storms to go track this down. Maul says something to him. I think this is where Maul explains, well, Discovery has the other clues and everything else, and he's not impressed that she's only given this information now. So he attacks her. So he's a bad guy. He's a really bad guy.
He goes very Darth Vader in that scene where he's like, is there anything else you haven't told me?
Yeah. He's playing it kind of Darth Vader-esque, I would say, for sure. Then Michael's back in her dreamscape here with Book, and she's trying to read every book she can. Then he has this other book.
It's the Labyrinth of the Mind. It's the
this is where she realizes, I'm in a labyrinth of the mind. I'm in my own maze. Yes. And we see that scope out. And she's like, well, there are mathematical ways to solve mazes, so let's use the power of math.
If only I had a way to trace myself. Magic sand bucket. It's like, perfect.
The program book gives her the sand bucket, and she starts pouring that around to try to find her way out of the maze. Back in the real
world, ticking for walls are fading.
What's that?
That's okay. No, keep going.
You said it was a lot of sand, right?
A lot of sand. You're dumping a lot of sand.
It is. It sure is. The Breen are coming, and we see here that Lieutenant Commander Reese, he's like, I guess he's the third officer. He seems to always be in command on the bridge when the first officer and captain are gone. And so he's left in command here. They got to try to buy some time for the away team on the archive. So they're going to try to distract the Breen or stop them from getting in.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Commander Reese's time to shine in this episode. He did very well.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, like he did everything by the book. He was pretty effective. Then we've seen back here with Michael as she's doing all her sand. She thinks she's solving the maze, but then she just kind of ends up back where she started. Ultimately, here.
And she's so excited to go through the door, thinking she'd solve the problem. But he was like, no, not quite. Which again, I kind of enjoyed because I was expecting her to go to a room, and then I was like, oh no, you're back to where you started. And I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be not that simple. I'm digging this sort of turn of events.
Yeah, it made sense. I was like, it can't be that easy, right? That she just does some sand around the room. Then the Breen are attacking the archive with this shield tunneling technology that has never been seen before. They have to buy more time.
Drill a hole with it.
Drill a hole into the shields. We need to buy more time for Michael while she's in this thing. So, and then we see the lights are getting darker and darker inside of like the simulation, right?
The clock is ticking.
I'm trying to remember like the specifics of all the dialogue here in these sections, but
She just starts to freak out for the most part. She's like,
This is where she starts admitting to her fear, isn't it? Like we're getting there now.
not quite. It's just before. I think she ultimately is like, I've gone through all these things and you're not essentially being fair. And then she just sort of storms off because she needed a minute to like chill out because everything that she thought it wasn't working. And she felt like she was getting trapped. So she freaked out.
yeah. Back to Commander Reese, who he said, "Hey, he gives Stamets and Jet Reno and Adira this task to figure out how to stop that shield tunneling technology, and they basically have a problem solving session here, which I liked mostly. I thought it was fun, good dialogue. I thought them working it out." Jet Reno actually mentions the Hesperians in this in this little exchange here. She's like, "What? Well, I used to work on Hesperia before everything else." And she said, "Hesperians know how to party." Do you guys remember the Hesperians?
Sort of.
No.
Oh, well, here, like I have to go get the Hesperian thing while I'm here. Un momento. Here we go.
Sandorithio, who
Just call me Phillips.
honor
Thank
to
you.
bask in your glory.
Our beloved Prince
Okay,
Sandorithio has
don't need to know
returned.
this.
Yeah, remember the
Ah.
huzzah. The medieval
It's,
Billups's people.
Yeah, Billups' people.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the medieval Renaissance fair people. And she's like, they know how to party on Hesperia. So
It's like that.
yeah, exactly.
But
It's
you know,
over.
like this collaboration you described a few minutes ago, they used to do this well in Next Gen too. Remember that in engineering they had that like table console thing where they'd stand around and chat. They do it better. This show does it better.
Yeah.
This was good. Like, and I feel like this season in particular, they've really just hit their stride with how to kind of portray that kind of stuff on screen in a way that the audience can follow it, in a way that actually kind of has some science maybe kind of in it, whereas in some previous seasons, I feel like they've kind of not been as good at that. So, I thought this was all pretty well done. In that respect. Then Book and Rayner are back on the archive and they're getting ready for whatever Breen are going to come through. So they got their guns drawn and they're ready to fight as the Breen are sending through whatever troops they can through this little this tunnel thing. But that gets disrupted by Discovery as they close the tunnel.
They figured out the frequency thing and they disrupted the frequency. So like, well, that'll close the door at least. And then we get Book and Rayner just like single-handedly like ninja taking down each Breen soldier.
Yeah, we get to see a little bit from like the Breen's like helmet cam, I guess, or something, and like they're just getting shot at by Book and Rayner.
It was like Doom, like the old Doom I used to play like in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool. I couldn't. Would have been maybe even fun to see the fight, but that's kind of not completely shown here. And Book gets wounded in the fight.
We saw that. We saw him get shot. It was very quick.
It was very quick,
but hopefully not fatal. Sure, it does. I mean, he could crawl around.
I don't know. I didn't think Locke was going to die from getting that stab in the ISS Enterprise, but apparently...
That's true. I didn't think that was going to lead to his death either. That was...
Well, yeah, he got shot, an abdomen wound. People usually go, "Oh, that's pretty fatal," and no, it's just an abdomen. So he's okay.
Yeah. So this is the whole scene here with Burnham and the program in the form of Book, where she kind of realizes her why I guess the program has manifested in this way, why the challenge is in the form of the library, why Book is the form of this program, and everything else.
She doesn't really realize it. She just comes to the realization that she's not afraid of death. She's afraid of failure. She's afraid of failing the mission, her work, her loved ones, her friends, her ability to hold the rank that she has, and just like all the like guilt that's sort of, piled on top of the seasons that we've been with this character. And she's pretty much just sort of relinquishing to the idea of being okay with that. And then when she comes to okay at that moment, that's when it's like, oh,
That's when the
you
lights
got it.
all come on. You passed the test.
Congratulations.
You're not going to die, and we're going to give you the clue now. Just go to this room.
That look on her face is perfect. She's like, what? What do you mean I passed? What?
I passed. Oh, I passed the test by admitting that I couldn't pass it. And then, the book program's like, yeah, well, it's inside of a crystal in this other room. Just go in there and smash it and get the little clue. So this particular test was realized. Burnham wakes up, and there's kind of this moment with her and Book where they embrace each other. They seem to be just glad that the other one is okay. And so they run to the room to get the clue out of this crystal, which Burnham just like smashes on the ground and pulls it out
As instructed.
And then the Breen come right for that instant, and they start shooting, and they have to beam out in a hurry. As they're being basically, they try to shoot them right away.
Breen are definitely losing their library cards.
Yeah, they're not library access. They're gonna have to pay a couple nickels. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Can't be setting books on fire.
Can't be setting the book right. And so then there's this standoff here between Book and the Breen. Or no, not Book. Burnham and the Breen. The Discovery and the Breen. I say books. I can't remember how many times I've said book in this episode with referring to a book or the book program.
Book.
But basically, the Breen is going to destroy the archive unless he's given the progenitor tech in the clues, right?
Give me the map.
Give me the map. So Michael decides that she will trade it if he will make a sacred Breen blood oath, which name I don't remember right now.
Targan? It's a Targa or something like that?
Yeah, start with a T.
Tegron?
Tegra? Something like that.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. It's a sacred Breen oath that cannot be broken, but apparently can. He's going to try to break it.
Well, I mean, it can if you're dishonorable, shisty Breen like this guy.
Right.
I think I also feel like he's like sort of surprised at how much the humans know about him, or the Federation knows like about their customs and what.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little bit surprised by it too, because it seems like they don't know a ton in the 32nd century, and with Burnham being originally from the 23rd century, she would have even less background on them. But maybe she's studied on her off time here.
Because there's a lot of that.
A Tegra is what Femi says. So anyway, they send Tilly away, and Tilly comes back with like the map all finished, and it comes to life. And the progenitor's tech comes out, and I guess we get like this planet that they're meant to go to.
Constellations and coordinates.
Hey, did you notice tonight? This finally, like the whole beaming off the bridge to engineering and back again made sense. They needed her quickly, and this worked.
Yes. Yeah, it was fine. Worked fine.
That makes sense. I feel like that something like that should be used sparingly. In
Yes, me
emergency
too.
situations.
It bothers me that they use it just to go to the bathroom or whatever and come back.
Exactly. He's using it so nonchalantly to have a meeting in a room that's 10 feet away from where you could walk through the doors and get. It's just like, it's so needlessly extra.
They had to do it in that episode because they needed to set that up as a device for them later when they were leaving the room to get caught in that beaming rift.
I get that, but it implies that they do it so nonchalantly and they do it all the time, and it's just like, I don't know.
I'm okay with it, but
I really like tonight because it made there's urgency. We got to do this quick, and she was gone and back in seconds. It was great.
True. So she comes back, but this is where the Breen are ready to destroy everything, and he gets the so Burnham makes this trade, after they've figured out where they need to go. They looked at the map, and then they give it to him so he won't destroy the archive. But then he decides, actually, I am just going to destroy it anyway. And Maul doesn't like it. Maul's ethics are finally violated.
It's not that he's going to destroy the archive. He's decided to destroy Discovery, and Maul's like, "Don't do that. You're going to start a war with the Federation. We don't need to do that." And Buddy's like, "I don't care. I'm doing it anyway." And at this point, Burnham does something incredibly clever where she's like, we're going to vent the nacelles and open the airlocks. And on my mark, we're going to jump. Because she knew that they could only take so many hits. And she times it just enough that when they start the fire, they flip it, explodes, and it looks like they've been killed. We didn't start the fire. I thought this was a brilliant move.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of this scene. It was so good.
It seemed like, well, like if you know that Discovery can do this, it seemed kind of like the obvious thing to me, but I know
don't think everybody knows that Discovery can do what it can do. Like I'm not entirely certain the Breen are aware of this technology. It doesn't seem like they're aware of it.
Yeah. Like not entirely, at least. Anyway, so Discovery does jump away, but they're pretty beat up. They've been they're damaged, and they're going to take a few hours at least to get their spore drives down, and their warp drive is down as well. So they got to get that fixed up, and it's going to take 6 hours for the Breen to get there.
So they got 5 hours.
They got 5 hours to fix the spore drive, and then Burnham's like, "I remember you tell me never turned my back on a breed." You know, that was the whole thing here, right? The old Romulan expression.
Can be tracked with spore tech.
So they need to get ready. But back on the Breen ship, the Primarch here, he thinks he's destroyed Discovery. He's happy with that. And then he's going to destroy the archive. And even the other Breen are like, no, we made a Tamak or whatever. We made like a sacred, a Tara. We made a sacred thing. You know, and then so, but Maul's challenging that. He has no honor. Then this one Breen tries to say something, and the Primarch kills that one Breen guy, just like out of the blue. But Maul's not backing down. She's still challenging, calling him out as this lieutenant guy is trying to take her away. And then this really makes the Primarch mad as he decides to come at her, and saying, yeah, because she's like, we'll never be able to bring back Locke from the dead if you do this. And he's like, I don't care about Locke. I never did. I always cared about power. And then the Primarch tries to kill Maul, or gets ready to kill, but then this lieutenant guy draws his gun on the Primarch.
Arsmark?
Right.
Commander Arsmark or something like that?
Is that his name?
Lieutenant.
Oh yeah, Lieutenant Arsmark,
Yeah. Anyway, so then Maul goes into fight mode, and she takes down the Primarch, and I guess she kills him. It seems like that's what happens here.
Yeah, she totally just like flipped the staff on him and killed him, and I thought that was pretty cool. I like that they did it in one shot, one wide shot, not like 15 different cuts. It was like flip, blam.
Flip, boom. And then they all draw their guns onto her. They're like, you just killed our guy, but he kind of sucked, so we're not that beat up about it.
So this is where they're all like staring at each other. What do we do now?
What do we do now? Right? And she says, like, hey, we're long reign Locke. We're going to bring back Locke from the dead with this progenitor tech, and it's going to be awesome. And then the lieutenant guy, who's like, yeah, let's do that. And he gets on board. And once he gets on board, all the other Breen are on board. And then, you know, she's kind of in charge now here.
Breen Queen.
The Breen Queen, if you will. RuPaul's Breen Queen. Get ready to
dress in green.
Dress in green. Breen Queen sounds like a reality TV show. Yeah, absolutely. And they're all cheering here, and she is ready to go off into the next episode now with this Breen under her control. And if she wasn't dangerous before, you know, she's with an army of Breen behind her. She's probably
the Dreadnought.
You know, she's got all of this. You know,
she's come a long way. She's come a long way.
She has come a long way in 8 episodes. You know,
she's really traded up.
Yeah, so that's the end of the episode. Overall, it you know, I thought it was pretty good, you know, for something where a lot of it's just spent in rooms talking. A lot of it's just, you know, Michael and that book program having a discussion, but you know, I don't think you have to have a ton of action to make a good episode.
I believe previous Star Trek episodes in history have proven some of the best episodes are the ones that are just stuck in rooms talking.
They totally are. Yeah, so that's the summary of tonight's episode. You know, so I guess they're heading to whatever planet that map told them to go to, and there's going to be presumably some kind of a confrontation here between Maul and the Breen ship and Discovery. I don't know what else to expect, you know. in the
So,
next
David,
12.
I've
Feed
got
Me
a
Seymour
couple
made a
fun
good
facts on
comment here.
tonight.
Oh, well, Adam, why don't you fun fact us?
Fun fact. Okay, so this is Star Trek debut for director Emmanuel O.C. Kufur, who actually just came off of Shogun. If you've watched any of those.
I have not, but
Yeah. This is the 5th episode in a row now without Doug Jones, but he is confirmed he's coming back. So he's got 2 chances, I think. 2 hours to go.
he's busy
2 hours.
filming Hocus Pocus.
2.
He
Two.
was promoting it at this time.
Oh,
Okay.
promoting.
But it's still number 2. Hocus Pocus
It
2.
was number 2, Hocus Pocus 2.
Okay. This episode included a new bridge crew officer, Commander Lorna Jameson, likely named in honor of NASA astronaut Mae Jemison, who once played a member of the Enterprise crew in Next Generation.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yes,
Mae
yes.
Jameson.
Discovery couldn't cloak due to the Cherenkov radiation, which is a real thing. The radiation, not the cloaking.
Yes, radiation's real. Cloaking is not. Gotcha.
Yes.
I did like the fact that they were like in a place where like the radiation was preventing their cloaking from working, and therefore neither could the brain.
Mhm.
It's a great way to write that sort of plot.
The world root cuttings came in a box made of tule wood, which is the same wood that Book used to decorate his old ship with.
That makes sense.
Dr. Direx's reading list included a comprehensive guide to Talaxian hairstyles, Hobrierian folk tales, and Euclidean geometry. 2 Trek things and 1 real thing. The Labyrinths of the Mind manuscript might be our first view of the Beta Z written language. That might be
Really?
true.
I noticed like the like book or the library card in the last episode it was the same sort of symbol as the Beta Z flag design that was created by like a fan ages ago that they've just sort of incorporated into.
Yeah, it's been funny how some of these non-canon symbols, like even the Gorn, like hegemony logo that we're now seeing in Strange New Worlds, originally just came from I think a video game or something, and sometimes these things get rolled into the greater canon.
Disrupting the Breen Shield tunneling weapon was the latest use of Star Trek has found now for the positron beams.
Hey, gotta do some with your positron.
Yep. This is neat. Ejecting debris as they did in Balance of Terror was often used in World War II movies like Run Silent, Run Deep, and is based on real naval doctrine of the time.
Oh, cool.
So,
We got one question here. Why would the Betazoid have a written language when their psychic abilities when their written language just be empathic thoughts? I'll tackle that one. Because we know that there are some Betazoids that have no telepathic or empathic ability whatsoever.
well, they also have a lot of.
It'd be the same reason that we have books. We can speak to each other through our mouths, but
Mhm.
only when we're close to each other and not through time. So someone would write a book that people can continue to read for hundreds of years in the future, even after they die.
True, and books predate like recorded sound and television and those
technology
kinds of
and
technology, but also because they're not all Betazoids are telepathic.
Yeah.
And much like not all Betazoids are telepathic, not all humans have sight. Some books have Braille in them for those that
True.
can't.
Yeah.
So like there's got to be multiple forms of communication in some way for multiple forms of life forms.
Okay, and finally, the Eternal Archive was filmed at the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library at the U of T. So I went on that website during this podcast and just actually, Chris, it looks like it is that big.
Okay. So I know the U of T library is huge. I've never been in it, and I've always wanted to go.
I think it's a library in the library, honestly. I don't know if you can just go into the rare book section.
Yeah, probably not. Like they've got chambers in there, but
Yeah.
if that's, I feel like I don't know. I feel like some of that was like extended scenery via digital, like maybe the farther edges of it, but like maybe that was all. Probably like everything 3/4 up, and just like the deep cavernous bottom was digital.
maybe it looks beautiful. Like I'd love to see it in real life, like someday. And I'm sure it's one of those, open doors or open whatever they call those days when you can go into different things in the city. I'd like to go to this one.
Yeah, same.
Star Trek in the city.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a cool tour.
Also, while we're on that note, one of our commenters here tonight is from the UK, so reaching halfway across the globe. Glad to have you with us tonight.
We are
Thank
indeed.
you for joining us.
And the episode was called Labyrinth. Was Booker in Burnham's mind Jared? Law reminds me of the Babe. What Babe? Oh, I'm not sure about that.
Labyrinth,
Labyrinth. Oh, I see.
the Goblin King.
The Goblin King. Gotcha. Okay, well, Adam, if that's it for fun facts, let's jump into our ratings, as we like to do here, and put a 1 out of 10 ranking on this episode. Does anybody want to go first? Ashley?
I think this one's also an 8.5 for me.
Okay. 8.5 from Ashley. Adam?
I really liked the story. I liked the the book ending of the excitement at the beginning and the end. I wish we could see some more characters other than Book all the time. So I'm going down to an 8 for this episode.
Okay. Murphy?
Gets a 10 for me. I think it was the best episode of the season so far.
Okay.
I don't feel there was a wasted moment. I mean, could it have not been Burnham and Book? Sure, but that's kind of been the pace for every episode.
I know, and that's the one thing I have that I really.
But I mean, it's the 8th episode in 10. Like, why would they change it up now?
Well, they haven't changed it in 4 years. Well, since they introduced Book, 3 years ago?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like.
But even before Book was there, she was doing stuff with Ash all the time.
Yeah, it was all about Ash Tyler and that relationship before that. You're right.
Yeah.
So I feel like this has always been integral to the character, like on some level, and just changed who the interest was. But I'm with Ashley. I feel like this is about exactly the same for me in terms of how much I liked it from last week. So I'm going to stay at 8.5 here. And so we're averaging an 8.8 tonight. Pretty good. Overall, this has a 6.4 on IMDb so far with 105 votes. We'll see, if that changes in the coming weeks. And that's it for that episode here tonight. I just want to see if we have next week's title confirmed. I believe we do.
2 more to go.
So next episode is called Lagrange Point. Lagrange.
So, Feed Me Seymour. He had a comment about that. Theory. Lagrange point requires using gravity to use minimal power to orbit alongside another object ordering. So theory's next episode will be time travel, like Picard in First Contact. Entered surprise slingshot.
So run that by me again. What?
So basically, Lagrange point requires using gravity to use minimal power to orbit alongside another object ordering. I don't quite get that. So I think he means like they have to use some sort of power. So he believes that they're going to slingshot their way into the past and do some time travel.
But that'd be more like in Star Trek 4 than, well, I guess they did that in First Contact as well, sort of. Yeah. But they opened up a time vortex in First Contact. But the slingshot was specifically done in Voyage Home and some other things. The other times they did it as well. So, but yeah, time travel, wasn't all time travel like banned after the Temporal Wars in like the 29th century? So I'll be curious to see if they do any more time travel stuff. But it seems like that is sort of passé in the 32nd Century Federation.
Do we know, like, is the last episode a 2-hour episode? Do you know this yet?
I don't know, actually. So next episode, Lagrange Point, and then the finale, episode 10, is called Life Itself. That's all we know about it.
I guess when they made it, though, they didn't know that it was the final. It wouldn't have been the finale.
They didn't know when they first made it, but the reason why this season was so delayed was because they found out after, and then Paramount let them go back and reshoot the final episode to make it a series finale instead of just a season finale. So there's been reshoots on it.
That's great to know. Thanks, Ashley. It makes me feel better. I feel like we're gonna get something good out of this one then.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like, what would be satisfying ending for this show for you guys? Like, how, thinking
I don't
ahead
know.
from 2 weeks.
But do you know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about when they finally find this progenitor tech, and all I was picturing was like in Indiana Jones, the third Indiana Jones, when they finally go and get the Holy Grail, and it's just the old Templar Knight that's there, like protecting it. I want that, but the old knight protecting this tech is just played by Jeffrey Combs. And that explains why there's so many characters that look and sound just like him through all of Star Trek. It's his DNA that was spread out.
That's too brilliant. I don't think the writers would come up with that. That's too brilliant.
Yeah, it's just a Jeffrey Combs progenitor.
It's just it's Jeffrey Combs. And then you go, oh, that's why every species has someone who looks like him.
Just even to riff
Apparently-
on that, like, because the original progenitor is Sloan Gens, and there is some theories out there that that are the progenitors connected to the changelings, maybe somehow, right?
Frakes is directing the next episode apparently.
Is it?
That'd
Is
be
he?
great.
Stormy weather.
I'm wondering though, like what happens here? Because do they go back in time? Is this like somebody said last week is a dream? No, we're not gonna have that, please.
Oh God, please no.
Yeah, they'll go to jail if they go. Okay, but they moved forward in time. It was okay to just jump ahead.
I guess regarding like perfect ending for this show, honestly, I don't want to see this show end at this moment because with the inclusion of Rayner and the Breen, again, like I said in previous reviews, this show could go for another 2 or 3 seasons, and I would be down for it. But since they have to end it, at first part of me was thinking, I guess maybe if they jump back timey-wimey and then just sort of retcon all of this, but then that would feel like a waste of time and kind of a disservice to everybody.
It was all a dream.
Yeah,
Guys,
if they do that, that would be pretty bad in my opinion.
Yeah. I feel like as long as it doesn't take place on the fucking holodeck, I'll be happy.
Because you just watched that Enterprise finale last
I
night,
did.
didn't you? Yeah. Yeah.
You know what though?
The
Like
rage is still
you've got a
there.
lot of characters need some closure on. Like I want to know more about the Cronenberg character, and
Well,
Yeah.
here's what I think that the better ending would be is sort of everybody is sort of a safe and established in this time, and we just kind of move along, and then maybe we can return to the crew in some form of film, and then probably also return to those characters within the Starfleet Academy series that's going to
that's
follow
what Phoebe
this.
Seymour just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want Tilly to be in that show.
We'll see. I feeling like that's maybe gonna be the case, but
But you see, my point though is that they have some great characters on the show,
Yeah.
and we just don't get enough of them. And that's my I just keep coming back to that. We get a lot of the same.
yeah, I agree with you. I feel like there's a tremendous amount of focus on Michael and Book. I'd say Culber gets the next most, and it's a distance third. And then like characters like Stamets, Adira, Jet Reno.
Stamets almost had a whole season there in like season 3.
Yeah.
Like he was
We
a
need more
big
Linus.
major part of
He had more
Linus.
than that. He was
We
in
do need
season
more
1.
Linus.
Stamets was a heavy character in season 1 as well, and 3. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's some cool stuff there. I don't know. I feel like there's still more with Cronenberg. Is he a
I
Q?
I think he's gonna end up being the actual bad guy.
Maybe, yeah. Like it could be.
I think he's after this tech for bad reasons.
Oh my god, that would be great.
Yeah. And then
Every
the Breen,
character he's ever played.
Discovery and the Breen have to pair up to defeat Cronenberg.
Oh,
And
another
then
theory.
makes the Breen a part of the Federation. Oh God.
Stamets dies and then a hologram is made by Culber to talk to his old. It could be.
No, don't
Like-
break my heart like that. I can't do that.
Where he's talking to
please
his
don't kill
grandmother.
Another one of my favorite characters, Star Trek.
Yeah. Stamets and Culber went through enough. Let those two have a happy ending and some sort of
Yeah.
winery. I don't know.
If Jet Reno dies, I riot. I'm telling you, like Jet Reno has to be preserved here. So
No, she's got too many jobs to work.
yeah, exactly. Okay, well, guys, thanks so much for being with us tonight, and for everyone in the live comments and everyone afterwards. Thank you. Tell us what you think and what you're hoping for this end of Star Trek Discovery. Let us know what your ratings. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and all those things. And come back in a week's time when we're talking about that next episode, the Lagrange point. Like if you didn't know, we just wrapped up our Star Trek Deep Space Nine review. We reviewed every single episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So this Monday we're kind of having our culmination where we're wrapping that up, kind of talking about it as the series as a whole instead of a specific episode, and kind of running through the top 5 and the bottom 5 as we get ready for our next podcast, which is going to be about Star Trek: The Next Generation, where we're going to be going through all those episodes over the next 4 years or so.
Starting with Encounter at Farpoint, which is going to be exciting.
And also Star Trek, not Star Trek at all, the Orville, we're going to be also bringing your way in about a week's time. So we're going to be doing the Orville and Star Trek: The Next Generation. Whenever Strange New Worlds comes back, we'll of course be reviewing that, and Lower Decks and those shows when they come out. So look out for all the great content here on Live Long and Podcast, including from our science division led by Davin Skellhorn, where they do class L probes and other interesting long format discussions of the various aspects of the Trek universe, and those kinds of things. And with that said, I think we can probably sign off for tonight. You can also, of course, check out our affiliates under the United Federation of Podcasts. All kinds of great shows like Hold Up, Aiming on Track, Hey, Did You See This One? Graphic Histories, the Super Mater Brothers podcast, and the X-Men X-Rated show. If any of that kind of stuff interests you, just go check out our channel. You can find links to all those different channels through our descriptions. And anyway, I think that's it. I don't know. I didn't pull any sound clips from this particular episode. So on that note, we'll just say, let's fly. Yeah, let's fly. All right, we'll see.
Let's fly.
We'll see you next time, everybody. Good night.
That was Breen for Live Long and Prosper.
Disco Discovery. Season 5 review. Discovery. Season 5 review. Discovery. Starfleet in the 32nd century.